All righty. So often and usually when we do a talk, we talk about a koan. And for those of you who are new, a koan is basically like a parable. It's a little story of enlightenment. Usually it's a discussion between student and teachers throughout the ages. And so anyway, we have these books of koans that we go through, and this one is called the Blue Cliff Record. And so this particular koan is number 87 in the Blue Cliff Record, and it's called Medicine and Disease. All right. Unman, who is a famous teacher in our lineage, maybe 1,000 years ago or more or less, Unman said, "Medicine and disease quell each other. The whole earth is medicine. What is yourself?" And so that's it, right? It's relatively simple, short, not simple, it's relatively short. And it says a lot, right? So that's kind of the idea is, right? These pithy short phrases say, kind of hold everything. That's sort of the essence of Zen, is to kind of capture the essence of everything in just this moment. And so I'll read it again. Unman said, "Medicine and disease quell each other. The whole earth is medicine. What is yourself?" And so, man, right? It's profound, and there's a lot there. So where can I start? I can start anywhere. I could literally just start anywhere and just start talking, and it would be relevant. So I don't know. With that in mind, I guess I'll start with kind of breaking this down just a little bit. And by breaking down, I just mean sort of tease out kind of the meanings and things that people who studied Zen for a long time kind of already know. These things go together, and the vocabulary relates in different ways. And so, for example, with this koan, so he sets it up as so there's dualism, and then there's oneness, or like two sort of different aspects of Zen practice and understanding. The absolute and the relative. In Christian terms, it might say God and all the manifestations. Universal consciousness and our individual self. So these are parts of the spectrum that we have, that we practice studying in Zen. And so it's a little tricky because there's relative, right? There's the spectrum of relative. There's good and bad preferences. And then there's oneness, right? So oneness includes everything, the good and the bad. So it's a spectrum, and then there's everything is included. And so it gets a little bit tricky to talk about. Too much. So for example, so he says medicine and disease quell each other. And I had to really look at the definition of quell. I thought it meant kind of like soothe, right? Soothe and ease, right? But it really doesn't. It means like stomp out, to eradicate, to get rid of. And so this medicine and disease, right? So on the one hand, medicine and disease are in the spectrum, right? This part of the spectrum. We have issues, we feel ill physically and emotionally and mentally. And then medicine is sort of the other side of the spectrum. It's the healing aspect of ourselves and nature. It's comforting. It's loving. It's sharing. It's easing. And so on this within the spectrum, right? The spectrum of dualism, we have perfection on one side and mistakes on the other. We have comfort on one side and pain on the other. Healing and abuse, sobriety and addiction, confidence and fear, relaxation and anxiety. And so all of us have experienced this aspect of our duality. And so we practice, right? How I would like to give you a visual. I'd like you to kind of see this as right? The duality is this wave, right? It's, oh, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling close to like I really got it. And then, oh, wait, no, I don't. I lost it and I'm feeling terrible. I'm feeling separate. Oh, I'm back on the path of healing and I'm feeling better and I'm feeling connected. And then, oops, no, not so fast. And then it goes back down, right? So we're riding this wave between these two sides, comfort and pain, love and hate. But they're all part of the same ride, right? They're not separate. We tend to think, it's easy to think that think in terms of that I want to feel good and I just want to feel good forever. I just want to get to a place where everything's settled and I'm set and I'm doing good and no problems come up. And that's how it should be, right? So we think of that in terms of one side. Happiness is the one side that I want to be on. And as we go through life, we realize that no, we have to go through this wave. We have to experience both. And they're intimately connected. And in reality, we have to experience both. We have to experience the pain in order to grow into healing. And so this medicine and disease quell each other. They push each other out. They, like Dogen says, when one side is light, the other side is dark. But do not look for that darkness, right? The absolute and the relative chant. When one side is light, don't grasp for the light. So anyway, the idea is that when we're in pain, when we're suffering, to not see that as separate in itself, but see it as part of a continuum. While practicing just being what this is, right? So when it's dark, just be the dark. When it's light, just be the light. And yet, it's still part of this flow. Okay, so I come to practice with anxiety, and I come with issues and addictions and distractions and patterns, painful patterns, emotional patterns, and mental patterns. And we're looking for the healing. And so this the sense of the whole earth is medicine, right? He kind of blows the lid off of all the duality and says, open up to everything. Everything is medicine. And then he asks, what is yourself? So it seems like he's setting it up as the self is the sickness, and everything else is medicine, but it's not that simple. What he's saying is, as we go through our roller coaster, we're all on our own roller coaster. As we ride the ups and downs, the pain and the pleasure, the connection and the separation or loneliness. As we ride this wave, if we can open up to everything, then we can experience the awakening within suffering. So if I, like, for example, I'm going through anxiety, right? I have anxiety. When I first started practicing Zen, I really was judgmental of teachers. I was very new, and I would look at teachers and they'd smoke cigarettes, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, how can an enlightened person smoke cigarettes? Or they'd be drunk or be a drunk. I'd be like, oh my gosh, that is not okay. How can an enlightened person be a drunk or screwed up in any way? Anyway, well, now I know. I have managed to hold on to my issues all of these years, and I still struggle daily with my issues. And so I'm struggling now, right? In my job, I don't have a job set up for next semester. And I worked so hard this last year to become a teacher. It's really hard. I worked relatively hard. I worked as hard as I've worked before, which is still not as hard as many teachers are working normally. Anyway, it was a tremendous challenge. I had my job lined up. It was all set. Everything was good. I'm like, I started to settle into my relaxation. Everything is good. I'm on the good side now, and I can just hang in here. If I can just get this set up and this set up and this set up, then I'll be good for life, and I'll just be able to coast. And then just as soon as I started to settle into that, they go, oops, nope, you did not actually get that. We didn't actually say that. What you said, we said, we didn't say. And so my job just like vanished before my eyes. I still may get it, right? It's still possible. They're just literally waiting until the last second to do things, and they may not. I don't know, right? When I left before, they're like, hey, yeah, you're doing great. And who knows, right? So when my job is in jeopardy, I literally trigger myself into anxiety, and then I just spend all my time going through everything I did wrong, everything I've ever done wrong, trying to be a teacher and trying to do the right thing and messing up, and just constantly berating myself, saying, oh, it's probably because I did this, that they probably don't want me. So anyway, everything in my being about being connected and striving and attaining my goal and being part of a community and being wanted, all of that just is up in the air. So I'm in a lot of anxiety on a daily basis, and I'm just working with it, right? Every day I wake up and I'm like, oh, everything's up in the air. And so it's a tremendous challenge for me, and it's hard. Right? And so this is my disease, right? This is my disease. And so when he says the medicine and disease quell each other, there's this sense of like how does disease quell medicine? How does disease overcome or suppress the medicine? And I wouldn't say it's a suppression. I would say it's a, I would say it's actually a boost, right? The reason the healthcare industry is so rich is because there's so much disease. So disease is boosting that industry. And so there's a sense of the medicine. So anyway, I'm not going to try not to get distracted. But so with my disease of anxiety, I am calling out to the healing, right? I'm trying to embrace the healing that's everywhere. The whole world is healing. If I can let go of my stuck place and my issues and my anxiety right now, I can open up and see that there's nothing to be anxious about. There's jobs everywhere. There's like so many possible jobs and so many ways to work. And I have money in the bank and I'm not worried at all, right? But my anxiety makes me feel like I'm on the edge of being homeless tomorrow. And so I'm anxious, like I'm gonna lose everything. So I'm calling out to I'm trying to open up to see the whole world. Take a breath and see that just taking this breath is healing. And being here in the yurt is healing me, healing my disease, dis-ease. And so sesshin is coming up. We're doing sesshin, which means intensive meditation. So we're meditating like all day, every day for a week. And so I'm like calling out to this this healing of the sesshin, and I'm throwing myself into it from this perspective of opening up to the healing that's everywhere all the time. If I can accept where I'm at now. And so, yeah, to accept where I'm at now, there's a lot of good there and there's a lot of negative stuff too. It's like, I am a good teacher, right? I am good. And I have the capacity to be a great teacher if I just keep working on it from this perspective of I'm good and I'm getting better, rather than, oh, I'm a failure and nobody wants me. Because that's literally how I feel. And so to practice with this moment to moment of, all right, it's okay. It's okay to not know. It's okay to be anxious. It's okay to be out of control. And so that's what I'm going to work on this week. I'll be working on practicing with realizing that myself is the medicine, right? That so self, right? The self gets a bad name, I think, right? I'm actually a big fan of the self and a fan of ego because I see them as empty, right? It's empty. They're equally, there's no priority or preference between self and no self. You know, we tend to defer to the side of no self, like, because that's our sort of the Zen thing, is to be selfless. But that's nothing inherent to that. That's just how we talk about it. Because talking about it that way tends to help us more than say, embrace the ego, embrace the self. And so it's easy to see like, oh, the whole world is the medicine, but myself is the disease. But it's not that simple. Like the self is the whole world, right? We're all connected. And to wake up to and experience that as part of our practice, that's why we sit so much. We sit a lot so that we can have this experience of, oh, wow, I'm in pain and everybody else in the world feels pain too. And so we're all in pain together now because I experienced that oneness. Or everybody feels joy at some point. And so I feel joy. And so I see that I'm connected to everybody. So anyway, the self is the world. The whole earth is medicine. What is your self? Well, the self is medicine because the self is part of the world. And so, you know, if I can connect myself with the world, then I can connect with the healing that is available everywhere. And then I am healing. And I am the healer. And so, I know this talk really is not my best talk. I'm sorry. It's just not. I'm just, I'm not really clarifying it in the way that I would like. It's not coming as easily to me as I feel it does sometimes. Right. And so admitting that is healing, right? Admitting that I have issues and I'm imperfect and I make mistakes and the talk sucks is the healing. It's opening up to the reality. It's not like, oh no, it's fine. Clearly it's not. And so let me see, I'll just close with some of the ancient wisdom from the book here and work on maybe having a great talk for another day. The whole earth is medicine. This is the verse. It's like a poem of the koan. The whole earth is medicine. How have ancients and moderns been so mistaken? The car is not made behind closed doors. Coursing the road, it is naturally quiet and open. Wrong, wrong. Even if your nose is up high as the sky, you'll still be taken in tow. Did that help or did that make it worse? Could it get any worse? So yeah, it's a bit esoteric. And so basically what I want to encourage you all is that if you're feeling ills, feeling issues, if you're struggling with your issues, loneliness, anxiety, depression, fear, anger, addictions, and you're thinking that you need to do something else to be whole, I want to encourage you to start with realizing that accepting that issue as the reality and saying, hey, I do have this issue. I am angry. I am insecure. I am an asshole. To be able to just say that, just to have right, put a pin in it. It's true. This is the truth. Is the healing, right? And that's really like kind of if I could sum up Zen in a sentence, it would be that it's accept ourselves for our best and our worst in the moment, and start to practice being comfortable with that. Start to practice being comfortable with, yeah, I have an issue and it's probably not going to change. I have anger issues and I can work on it, but that's what I need to, how I should start is accepting that I have anger. It's not like, oh, I just have this thing I'm going to work on and then get rid of it and then I'll be okay. No, this is my thing. I have it and I'm always going to have it. And if I can start there with acceptance, then it's okay, right? I have these issues, and if I can be okay with having issues, then I can start the path to healing. And so we practice Zen, we sit a lot, and we practice being okay with our issues. We're sitting sesshin this week. It's about sitting for 8 hours a day with your issues. Sit with our issues for hours and hours and feel uncomfortable and feel the misery. Oh, yeah, and I'm not looking forward to waking up and sitting with anxiety all week. It's terrible. Why would I want to do that? The only reason I would want to do that is because I realize that it's going to help me accept myself as I am better. And so that's the power of the meditation, and that's the power of the group energy sitting together a lot, is learning to accept ourselves with our issues and learning to get more comfortable with just being screwed up. And then, yeah, geez, right? If we can start to accept ourselves for being screwed up, then wow, things actually start to change in unexpected ways or expected ways. But the acceptance is the key, right? So it's really practice of acceptance. And so, yeah, opening up to the self, right? The self and all of its issues. And then accepting it in this moment to realize, oh, we are all the medicine. Okay. All right, I'll finish there. Thank you so much for listening to my talk. I'll open up to questions and comments.